I've just received my Hasselblad 120 macro lens back from service. I'm going to check it out and make sure that it's working just like I would expect. My favorite Hasselblad lens is actually the 180. I love it. It's just got a great perspective on things. But I actually use the 120 macro the most. So the 180 is my favorite, but I use the 120 more. And the problem with the lens, I bought it used. It's in great shape. It's the latest CFI version. However, the shutter mechanism broke. So it would fire, but it wouldn't actually open the shutter. So I had to send it into service. Now, service on Hasselblad stuff is getting very difficult. I use Rollei at Service Camera Pro in Quebec City. Now, Rollei has retired. He had a business, like a storefront, years ago, and he did a lot of service for a lot of different people, but he's retired. So now he does my service. I don't know how many people he's working with, but he still does service on my camera. So since he's retired, I've had my Rollei service there, and I've had this lens, this 120 macro serviced. So he's got some machinery and some parts, and he did say that he used original parts for the service of my macro. So anyways, that's Service Camera Pro in Quebec City in Quebec. Now, service takes a long time because he's retired and he's away for the winter, and it might take 5 or 6 months. I don't think he's working on them every day, or he's got the thing with camera service now is that nobody does it. So where do you send the stuff? And I'll tell you, if I was an engineer who was interested in cameras, I'd open a shop. I mean, you need a 3D printer and you need some money and testing equipment, but there's still a few people who could teach you how to do it, and then you could sort of take over their businesses, I'm sure. Of course, what engineer is looking for work? They're all fully employed, I would imagine. Okay, so I get my 120 back, and as I said, it's the lens I use the most, and I go over to the shed that has the interesting, the shed boards on it, and I shot a few shots. So I just really wanted to test it. I wasn't really doing a full run with the lens, but I shot on Delta 100, which I shoot at ISO 64, and I processed it in ID11, which is, I use 1:1, and that's my kind of go-to developer, and I under-processed probably. If you looked at the recommended development time, I probably did 70%. I can't remember, but something like that. So these are the shots that I took with the 120 macro. Now, the 120 macro is typically a very sharp lens. People love it. It is a macro. Now, with 120, it's not like macro with 35mm. You're not taking pictures at the closest focus 1:1. Like a macro on 35mm, you could probably take a picture of a quarter. But with a macro on 120, I mean, you're probably taking a picture of like a flower pot or something like that would be the closest you could get. And then you could use extension tubes, which is what I use to get closer yet. So I put the camera on a tripod, ISO 100. I shoot it at 64, and I just did these 2 frames. This first one, I've photographed this shed a lot because it's great for testing things. The sun is always right on it, and it's great for testing things. It has lots of detail. So this first shot, this is a pretty clean looking photograph, nice and sharp, and certainly shows off the characteristics of a macro lens. Now, macro lenses typically are flat field lenses. So back in the day when photography was, an industry, people used to do presentations, like a professor would do a presentation, and they would show slides, and those slides might have been in a book. So there was an industry copying slides, making slides for presentations, and every university had someone with a machine, a copy stand, to do it. So lenses existed that were flat field lenses. So they would focus on a flat field, not a 3-dimensional field, and that's what a macro lens kind of is. So this is a macro lens. It's a flat field lens. So what better thing to try it on than a flat wall? And you know what? It's pretty sharp. Now, there's no reason to shoot this wide open, so I shot this at f11, so 1/25 at f11. as I mentioned, on the Delta 100. So that's the first shot. It's got great detail. It's got lots of sharpness, so I'm quite happy, and everything's just working out as expected. Now the second shot here, again, the same boards, just kind of a little closer. Again, f11, so I'm not shooting it wide open. Great detail, great sharpness. This is a wonderful lens. I can see, I guess, why I use it so much. Now that I've got it back from service, I'll be really excited to go out with this. So this is the Hasselblad 120 macro lens, and I use it on the Hasselblad 555, but it works on any of your film cameras. Great lens. If I was setting up a system, I would build it around this 120 lens. And if I only had one lens, it would be this 120 lens. Anyways, why would you have a Hasselblad system and only have one lens? That doesn't make sense. But if you did, this is the one.